Hello Sagittarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my very detailed report for Sagittarius April 2026. This month is possibly my favorite month of the whole year for Sagittarius. I'm a fellow Sag, so I'm excited to tell you what I'm seeing for us, plus a couple of things we do have to be aware of and how to navigate through those little buggers. This is for you if Sagittarius is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Sag placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Sagittarius friends, so birthdays like December 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree Sag placements through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to my Capricorn report, as you Sagicorn friends in the final degrees there will benefit from both readings. I'm going to give you some very important dates to note this month. You may want to have something to write them down, or if you don't have something to write down and you want even more dates for the month because you love to know all the best dates, all the worst dates, all the things to be aware of, go in another browser right now to anniehelpsyou.com and click on Unleash. That will get you access to my free April star report that has the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the best of whatever you need to know written down in detail. Okay, so there are so many things. Obviously, there are always so many layers that feed into one another, and they're all kind of true at the same time. I think that before we get into why I'm so excited about this month and why I think it's one of the best for Sag in general, I want to talk about the scene that we're evolving from as we get into this really ripe point for Sag, and those lingering energies that we have to be aware of that are sort of influencing at the beginning of the month that we'll be working through as the month progresses. So every year around March, and often kind of bleeding into April, we've got a massive amount of Pisces energy. Okay, now we've got the transiting North Node, Vesta, Mercury, which had been in retrograde as well, Pallas Athena, and Mars, all moving through this water sign. A few important things to know about that. Water, what does it do to fire? It puts it out, or the combination of the two creates steam. So we see something building. There's something emotional, many layers of emotion building here. There's an internal process that is happening. There's a process with your home and family, because this is the fourth house for Sag that is happening. There's a process with Jupiter having awakened in water sign Cancer, also referring to that home, family, and housing energy, but has awakened in the house of deep financial relationships, intimate relationships, money, other resources, house of energetic entanglement. So it's showing us that here, continuing to be of focus for Sagittarius is your house and your home and your housing and your inner world, and possibly the inner worlds of your family. So something's been going on here. You've been healing, you've been growing, you've been building. Maybe you've been lost a little bit in the emotions, and that is continuing. That energy does make a square. The Pisces energy does make a square to our placement. So in some ways, you are going to start the month still kind of feeling like, having your fire be put out. But what it does offer, and that's amazing, is a great chance to tune into your intuitive side, away from your active, busy side. A great chance to tune into your inner psychology and those around you. A chance to have those important conversations that may have been happening for Mercury retrograde, where you're really getting down into the nitty gritty of your plan for now, the past that's influenced now, the future, and having those discussions, dwelling in the possibilities, trying to sort some things out. And you're still kind of in that. This might be a little bit of a bother to your life force energy, but it is helping you access a different part of yourself that is going to enrich everything in your life now and moving forward. Okay, so there's this emotional connection, this emotional storyline, this inner journey that is getting very, very loud at this time. And Jupiter here is trying to help you by giving you access to resources that you may not have been the one to build. All right, so you are in a building process, and I will get to that here in a minute. But besides your personal building process, from June of 2025 into July of 2026, From the Placidus chart perspective, this will stretch longer for those of you who are December born, and the later you are into December, or the later your degree is, if you're watching for another placement, this Jupiter in the 8th house will extend further in the Placidus chart than July. Okay, it ends in the whole house chart in July, but for the later degrees, it will extend further. But regardless, you're going through this journey of having things be swapped out in favor of resources that other people will offer you. And the way that you access these resources is by showing up emotionally for those relationships, showing up with vulnerability, showing up with your heart on your sleeve and ready to make some positive change in the arena of your close relationships. And the rewards, not that you're doing it for the rewards, because you're not. This is a spiritual process for you that is opening you up to heal at the same time as ushering in support from the ethers, your chance to win money, your chance to have a loan or a scholarship or something like that come in, family money, inheritances, early inheritances, things where other people are just like, here you go, let me help you out. Could have to do with your house, could have to do with your housing, could have to do with something else in your family. But regardless, there is this process, and we enter April with this continuing, all right? You may need to take some extra quiet space. You may need to use the overwhelm as an excuse to rest. Sometimes Sagittarius need excuses to rest. But what's important to know is that Sagittarius is a mutable sign. It moves in a spiral. That spiral movement is upward. Pisces is a mutable sign. It moves in a spiral, but it's downward. So it can be depressive, but it can be grounding. It can be helping us dive into ourselves, and it can be at the cost of some of our life force energy to have to go through this. But the more you go through it, the more riches you'll find. So home, family, housing, majorly lit up, a lot of karmic destiny things, a lot of, relationship things, ancestral DNA even getting worked out here. And as the month progresses, Mercury will get into Aries, Mars will get into Aries, which Aries is ruled by Mars, so this is an especially happy place for Mars. And those planets will join Neptune, Saturn, the Sun, Eris, and Chiron, all in Aries. Plus, in the days around April 17th, we will have that brilliant astrological new year launched with the new moon in Aries. I call this the astrological new year because even though March 21st is technically the astrological new year, the new moon in Aries is the kickoff party for the astrological new year. So even though it starts March 21st, we had a lot of Pisces energy at that time, and it was not nearly as rowdy as it's going to be April 17th. So if the new year this year seems a little murky and weird because of all of that Capricorn energy, even though we didn't have, personal planets retrograde, we were in a direct moving time, it was kind of laborious and in some ways felt like a Mercury retrograde. I know that many of you are feeling me with that because all of that Saturnian influence was making it feel like you're walking through mud. But this is going to feel more like a new year, initiating new beginnings, something being launched in a very big way. Your life force energy will start to increase from Mars. You're getting out of your emotions and more into action. The eclipses that occurred in February and March, with that information that came in January through even now, some more eclipse news can come in. You're starting to be able to do something with it. And the most important set of dates are April 10th through June 12th. Okay, because that is when the tides are going out. And not only are the tides going out from the personal planet perspective, they're going out from a lot of the asteroids that we look at and the outer planets. So it is much more rare for us to have all of the stars moving direct. And that's only going to happen at this time. And that's part of the reason why I like this month the best of all of the year for Sagittarius, because we like to move, we like movement, but we have so much energy in Aries that they're all going to make the best possible angle in all of astrology for Sagittarius, the trine. So coupled with the emotional insights that we've gotten from these previous months, coupled with the shifting around of energy in our home and work and our outer world and our inner world from the Pisces Virgo eclipse, coupled with energy activating our teaching and learning and expression venues from the Aquarius Leo eclipse. We're now, moving into this time of action and forward movement. When the tides are going out, as I like to say it, this is when everything that you do can go with the flow of the tides and not against them. If you tried to force something to happen or push something from the end of, middle to end of February, March, even into very early April, you may get that resistance of an incoming tide. What happens if something is floating on the tide and it's coming in? That thing is going to come to the shore, right? So if you try to toss something out there, it's very unlikely that it's going to go as far and wide as it would if you launched it when the tides are going out. But now you know when the tides are going out, April 10th through June 12th. And they're going out in a big way because all of these other planets are going. So your big sales, your big purchases, your big decisions, your big payoffs, your big loans, your big events, engagements, weddings, your major travel, your launching onto a new path, you coming out with information to the public that you've been working on in the backdrop. There's a lot of that energy going on because of this movement from Neptune and Saturn into quiet, introspective, behind the scenes Pisces, blasting into Aries and now making trines with the Sag placements. Now, throughout this month, all Sag placements are going to get to have trines because so much energy is moving through here. But for these outer planets, these major long-term activations, those of you in the beginning of the sign, so the Scorpitarius friends, you're going to notice some additional wow, craziness going on because these outer planets are now making trines with your placements. And, we will all get a chance for that in the upcoming years. And we all will get a chance to have these faster moving planets combine in this way for us now. But there's something, very, very big going on. And placements of all parts of the Sag spectrum are going to be feeling this initiation, this newness, this new beginning in a very big way. So as all of these planets move into Aries, they make that beautiful configuration. As I said, they crowd our house of Leo, which is the 5th house, which rules children and child-related activities. It rules true love and romance and, romantic relationships. It rules the process of pregnancy from falling in love to conception to childbirth, childbearing, all of that. And the same can go for a creative baby. If you don't have human babies, creative babies are definitely in here. And as the month progresses and we get out of this kind of emotional fog and this internal reflective space, we're now rowdy and ready to take action and ready to do stuff and ready to launch forward in a very big way in any of these arenas. International travel, hobbies that we're making, more prevalent in our lives, something that we just love, basically. All of this is coming to be activated in a long-term way and in a short-term way. So expect to have a massive amount of fun from these planets. If something major in your chart isn't going on to interfere, because of course we can't see that certain aspects of your personal chart in the general chart, but this is a very big time of awakening and, where you're having this surge of creative energy and this desire to express yourself boldly and, these old wounds that the Pisces energies might have brought up where you're ready to take more action on or where you're making progress on. And it's really a time to take your passions seriously and start to ask the question, how can you get the things that you're more excited about be a part of your regular life? Okay, so a lot of new beginnings there. If you have to do stuff with legacies, wills, trusts, anything there, this is actually an amazing time for that too, because not only is Jupiter moving forward in that house that rules those things, and that's in the sign of Cancer, which is ruling these kind of family contracts. But, we're also free from the personal planet retrogrades, which really helps to make longstanding things binding and have the clarity that you need for them to be solid for the long term. Now, right at the beginning of the month, April 1st, we've got a full moon in Libra. This is kind of launching off the month. And this theme of partnerships is strong in the general sky for everyone, but there is extra special energy of partnerships and relationships and the importance of these emotional and spiritual connections that we have with other people that are very, very prevalent at this time. And that full moon is going to add to that. So we've already have the home and family relationships. We already have the deep financial and emotional relationships. We have the romantic relationships. All of these are being highlighted. And now we bring in with the full moon right at the beginning of the month, this fullness, completion, fruition, drama, elucidation, culmination in the house of friendships and networks and groups. So something comes to a head or comes to light in that area of your life where you see something for what it is, or work that you put in really starts to show up in a relationship, or you make a networking contact that is, epic, or you're starting to get ready to get, your online or social media things polished up or launched, and there's some headway there. This is very much about your expression. It's very much about having the support that you need to move forward with the big projects that you want to be doing. And this is happening in the house of your biggest dreams, which is the 11th house, not the dreams you have at night, which is also aspected because all these Pisces energies, Pisces rules the 12th house, and the 12th house is the house of dreams. So you may have intuitions, dreams, things like that are sparking, where you feel like you have to pursue something and you don't know why, you don't know where it's going. You're not sure what you'll do with it, but you just get the sense you need to do it. That's going to be happening. And then you've got this, this touch point for the big dreams and some sort of progress being made for, a very, very, very big dream. So as I was saying earlier, things solidifying for the long run, having Saturn move through this 5th house means that you are on a path of setting the stability and the structure in your love life, in your family, relationship, kids' life, and setting the structure for making your passions be part of your normal experience. And you're building that. You're building something new there, or going to the next level. And even though Aries energy can rule short-term excitement, where you're just doing this and doing that and kind of bursting off in all these different directions, Saturn is there kind of beckoning you to pick the things, or experiment enough in this time to pick the things that you want to invest in. Also, if you have been investing over the last 30 years in something, 28 to 30 years, you may find that now you're entering a new phase. For those of you old enough for this to be relevant, you're entering a new phase of whatever that is, or that is being completed and you're starting something completely different. So the thing about Uranus moving towards this 7th house cusp, bringing unpredictable and sometimes surprising behavior from people in your life, that is going to continue for a long time to come. That can be challenging. That can be surprising, but it can also coax to you people who are very future-minded, very intellectual, who really match with your intellect, basically. So like people that you can really have these discussions with, that are interesting, that are fulfilling, and all of this may lead into the networking opportunities, the things having to do with, expressing your next level of hobby, because you're calling in this new group of eccentric, different, sort of unique people. And that process, is going to be in some ways a little bit unsettling, and it might jostle up some of the norms that you have within your relationship space. But at the same time, it's ushering in this whole new way of relating to other people and adding some fresh insights in from the perspective of friends and social relationships. So overall, one of the best months for Sagittarius because of all of this fire energy that's making the best possible aspect for Sag, and at the same time having this forward moving energy where the tides are going out, where we can move more freely as we like to move unobstructed in our flow. Your flow is developing over the month, and that feels really good. If you want to see more about those dates that I mentioned before, I mentioned the dates, some of these, but if you want more, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash to get the full April star report. If you want to see what the outer planets are doing in your chart for these long themes, go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie the letter B, Clarity.com. And if you want to learn astrology to do charts just for yourself, your family, and friends, or if you want to do astrology professionally, you definitely want to check this out, because you will be able to read charts at the professional level with my system. And I have set this course up to maintain the cost of tuition for that So basically, it won't take you more than 15 to 20 hours of astrology work once you're trained to be able to earn back your investment. So that is, unusual for a trade to have to only invest that much time after you're educated to be able to get your investment back. And then everything is just surplus and extra for you. So you can transform lives with financial solvency. So you can check that out at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you in my next report. Bye for now.